I've been working on this thing, and I guess I'll share it here.
It's in the works. Are we going to be able to see, or get our hands on? Look at us getting the exclusive scoop. I love it. All right. Hello, family, and welcome back. We're so excited you're here. Today, we're tackling a tough but important topic. For generations, the church has been a source of strength and community and healing for the Black community. But when it comes to mental health, there's still a lot of silence, even stigma. Some of us grew up hearing that prayer was the only answer and that struggling mentally meant something was wrong with your faith. And because of that, a lot of us are still suffering. So in this video, we're exploring where that silence comes from and how we can start changing the conversation, because faith and mental health can go hand in hand. So to help us do that, we have our very own Dr. Jerica Henderson. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We have our very own behavioral health. No, what is it? Behavioral? Gosh.
Doctor of Behavioral Health.
Yes. There's health in there, there's behavior in there, mental health is in there, all the things. So super excited for this conversation today. I think it's something that we need, especially in the Black church. So thinking about how both of us kind of grew up in church, right? How did your faith influence your decision to go into a career in mental health?
Oh, so that is a really tough one. Just simply because, like you said, grew up in the church, grew up in a Black church in a historically Black neighborhood, to where you didn't really talk about your problems. So the question is, how did I decide I was going to start helping people? And I think that need came from, I knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't exactly know how. I think growing up in the church, especially with my grandmother and all of those matriarchs and patriarchs that we seen just kind of push us along the way and push and support us, I knew that I wanted to give back to not just people that couldn't help themselves, but everybody. And when I went out to college, I started to see that mental health was a real thing. People don't really have the opportunity to go to church consistently. They are not near their families. They're having to make new friends. And honestly, if I'm being really honest with everybody that's going to watch this, I just could not cut the science classes. I wanted to go to med school, and that was just not a thing for me. I dropped out of biology my first semester, and I said, how else can I help people? How else can I get to the root of making sure that people feel seen, feel heard, feel safe? And that led me through the psychology route. So here we are.
I definitely feel that. Organic chem
wasn't my thing.
Make or break, for sure. So, okay, I love that. So thinking about the Black church and, because it's not all bad, right? So how has the Black church helped people deal with their mental health in the past? Some of the good ways and then some maybe the not so good ways.
Yeah, so if we look back at history of Black church, one word that comes to mind is community. So community and gathering, when people didn't have anything else to look forward to, they looked forward to being surrounded by like-minded people that were struggling the same as them, people that understood how they understood, and people that believed, or at least wanted to believe in the belief of what they believed in. And for generations and time after time after time, I think that still remains true, is that church, especially Black churches, is a community of people. And when we look at what is church doing, or what does the building, what is this building here for? It's here to connect like-minded individuals. It's here for those that don't understand or that don't know. It's that safe place for people that look like us. Like, where else can Black people, or could Black people have gone hundreds of years ago, other than, under the tree stump to read the Bible and sing those songs? So that's what I'm saying. It's community.
I love that. And I love how you talk about the building, and especially now that we're entering into like this digital age where, like, for me, I am a member of Mount Moriah, but I don't live in the city, so my building has extended even beyond just the physical space of being able to go and find that community. So I love that. I think that's awesome, awesome, awesome. So thinking about, the people that look like us, what are some mental health struggles that you see among Black Christians, and how do you think faith impacts them?
Mm, that is a good one.
Diving in.
Yeah, we just went straight to it. So we know that people often suffer with depression and anxiety, and that's like the biggest one. Like, you just be walking down the street and somebody's like, I have anxiety. Like, is that diagnosed? Do you really? But it comes in so many forms, and like what causes these things, we won't get into that right now. But I will definitely say depression and anxiety they are both something that Black people struggle with, just because we don't have an outlet to talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, that can lead to unresolved trauma. So, like, what are some things that have been going on for generations, or what are some things that we've witnessed that we haven't been able to share or talk about in a public space, especially the Black church, when we go there and we're told this is the place where you come, where you're supported, where you can share all of these things. But in the back of our minds, if we tell this certain sister or this certain brother, we don't know how far it'll get. And so we often keep those things and we let that trauma build.
Yeah.
That also can go into grief and loss. Every day, people are dying. Every day we're losing things, we're losing people, jobs, animals, family members, our houses. And for our community, and we are going to stay focused and stay grounded in the Black community right here and right now, there are some things that Black people don't find, they don't think that they matter. So
Yeah.
oftentimes when a Black person, let's just say, loses a pet dies, you'll hear a family member or a friend say, oh, it's fine, you can get another one. But what happens when you've had that dog for 10 years, when that dog has gotten you through when nothing or nobody else would, or you lose a job and we're like, okay, I can go get unemployment. Like, are you really taking in what just happened? And I think
Mhm.
that's what it boils down to, regardless of what the diagnosis is or what the mental health concern may be. Are we really taking the time to think about it, to find our people and to share our experiences, so that we aren't pushing and suppressing those concerns down to let them continue to kind of fluster on?
For sure, for sure. Because anything happened to my little puppy, y'all gonna hear about it, okay? So thinking about, like you were talking about, helping people kind of process whatever those emotions that they're feeling, usually people will recommend therapy. But for some reason, within our community, that gets a lot of pushback. So why do you think, why do some people, I would say, think that going to therapy means that they don't trust God enough? Where do you think that gap comes from?
Mm. Honestly, I think it may be rooted in a mix of culture, religion, and just historical misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So I will share a short story. I know about 15 years ago, there was a member of a family, and I saw them. Well, let me go back. I am also a member of Mount Moriah Baptist Church. But some time ago, I visited a church, and there was an experience that I witnessed. And the experience was, maybe as a young child, I thought that this person had caught the Holy Ghost. But after service, I hear people talking, and of course, I knew nothing about mental health at this time, and I was like, "Oh, that's the crazy lady." She came in off the street, and so number one, when we think about those counseling or therapy and religion, we have this fight of,
Mm-hmm.
do they go together? Should they go together? How can they go together? If you say you're a believer, and why would you need any additional support? But I answered that question with, and I know I'm getting off topic, but I answered that question with, if you break your leg and all you do is pray, is your leg going to ever be fixed?
Talk
So,
about it.
and it's just that simple. If you have diabetes and you never take the medication, you never go and work out, but all you do is pray, are you gonna ever not have diabetes? And so God gives us people and signs to help us along the way.
Yeah.
And as we have transitioned, especially in this space after the pandemic, where things have become more available to us, we have resources for more emotional support. And I don't think that people seeking mental health services means that they don't trust God. I think it means that, for me, I would say that it means you are trusting in what God had, the resources that God has planted right here for you in this time.
Yeah.
So the notion of, I'm just gonna pray about it, faith without works is dead. If you aren't gonna get up and do that work and find what you need to find to help support yourself, you can't expect anything to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touch on something really important, how like our mind is just as valuable as our leg, our arm, being able to still function throughout your day. Like you need that as well. So why not take care of it the same way you would do your physical body? So that's super important, super, super important. And so thinking about the Black community, why do you think it's hard for people within that community to talk about mental health or even ask for help? Like, why is it hard for us to even have a conversation about?
Oh, because we like to talk. We like to talk. And that simply means that if I tell you something in confidence, you have someone that you likely share in confidence as well. And word travels fast, especially what other folks have going on. It travels, and not always for good. And so the hard part is you have to know and trust that what you say to someone, you can trust that they won't go and say that to somebody else. The
Mhm.
other part of that is, and I have done this myself, you have to be in a space where you're ready and you're able to talk about it. So I like to think or say that I'm the type of person that if I say it to one person, I can say it to all people. But what that also means is I'm a little bit more comfortable with my mental health and with certain things that are going on in my life. And I think that when I share those, they can be used for good rather than against me. And
Yeah.
everybody is not in that comfortable space yet. We have to figure out, who do we trust? Long time ago, we went to church with people and it was small and we knew everybody, and everybody knew everybody's business, but
Business,
everybody
yeah.
was going through the same things. And now churches have grown, memberships, they look different. You don't often know all of the members or everything about them because we do like to keep some things private. And that's the hard part, that even though these people are at the same place, supposed to get the same experience out of this, you just don't know where your information is going to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great segue right here is, what can churches do to create these safe spaces for people to get to that level of comfort?
All right. So, one important thing that churches can do, regardless of size, is utilize the resources in the community. Every church is in a community. And while some communities have more resources than others, I guarantee you there is a member for that in the church. And so we are both deltas here, and we always say there's a delta for that. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, there is a delta for that. I use that same thing in the church. There is a member for that.
Yeah.
We are not in the times where everybody is a teacher. Everybody was a teacher. We have broken off and we have so many different career fields that people are branching out into. Figure out what your members are doing and see how you can pull them in, bridge those gaps between religion and mental health. Get them in there. And even if that's a little too close for home, there are certain resources within communities, hospitals, and community health centers that will partner with churches to provide free services or services that are covered under certain insurance plans. And so just having not just pastoral counseling available, but mental health counseling available. And it goes into so many different types of counseling that we may not ever think that people need, and they need it. How do we just bringing those people in, even if it's for, a one-time talk, just to spread the love, spread the awareness, and plug themselves in. Hey, I'm here for you. Should you need this, I might not come back here, but you can come to me. We gotta push our people to realize that the health is there, and I don't know, we gotta talk about it.
Yeah, closed mouth don't get fed. I love that. The idea of community, like we were talking about before, like even just beyond our walls, like we're rooted in Orange Mountain. Let's go find those different pieces. So that's great. So thinking about some of the staples of the Black church, prayer, gospel music, our worship, church stories, all those things. How do those things help people to feel better when life is hard?
Ooh, I think that is a good question, but it's also a hard question. And it's kind of like therapy. No therapy session is the same for the same person or for different people. You learn different skills in therapy. You learn how to cope in different ways. You're showing up as a different person. And so prayer, gospel music, different stories and the way we worship, they look different for people. I may pray, in my head or in my shower, whereas somebody else may be in Kroger and just drop to their knees and they're praying out loud. Mm-hmm. And I think regardless of how you choose to praise God, how you choose to show your what your religious life looks like, as long as you are consistent, as long as you are honest, and as long as it brings value to what you're trying to possess within your life, that's all that matters. And once again, all of my answers are going to go back to what does the communication look like. And so we talk a lot about communicating with people within the church or people within your community to receive that help or to bring awareness to a certain subject. But what does your communication with God look like? Because we can go into the church, but are we being fed? What are we doing outside of Sundays or outside of our Bible studies? What are we doing outside of joining with our members? And are you being consistent with that? And if you're not, then we have to take a step back. And it doesn't matter what therapist you go to, what church you go to, if you are not choosing to be intentional about your faith and your walk with God, that's where it starts. No other relationships, no other thing that you try to put in place to heal or fix yourself, they won't work. The pieces will not fit together if you are not positioning yourself to have a better relationship with God.
Yeah, that your heart has to be open to receive. So yes. Oh my gosh. Preaching in here. I love it. Okay. So we've talked a lot, right? We've talked a lot. So what is your hope for how the Black church can grow in helping people understand or be more comfortable with mental health in the future?
My hope is that when we talk about the Black church, we aren't separating the churches. We number one, step back and we realize that all of these churches make up what we like to call the Black church. Mm-hmm. So community, again, community. We have to be willing to lean on one another. And that's just not inside the four walls of the churches that we go to, but that's extending our hands to the community. That's extending our hands to the churches down the street, because here in Memphis, there is a church on every corner. And my hope is that we don't keep mental health hidden. We don't only talk to people or talk about people behind closed doors, but that we bring the necessary people into the church or into the community to share how they go hand in hand. Is that we rely on each other enough to share our stories and ask for help. And I've been working on this thing, and I guess I'll share it here. It's we talk about first aid. So when somebody's in danger or needs help, we render first aid. Or when there's this thing in mental health where you can be mental health first aid certified.
Oh, wow.
And we're learning all of these tools, but I've been working on something, and it's spiritual mental health. How do we bridge those gaps? How are we teaching our clergy members and the leadership of our church and just the members in general how they can pull those things together, how they can pray and use their gospel music and use their stories and use their worship as also a way to mend the broken pieces, or the pieces that aren't fitting. They're in the wrong space.
Yeah.
We're giving resources to all of these people in a way that churches can be of that resource to the people that need it most. And one thing that I will say is that when people choose to come to a church, they're choosing to walk into a place where they don't know how they'll be fed. But the goal is always that they leave different than when they came.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially in the Orange Mound neighborhood, we don't know where those people have come from, and we don't know where they'll end up after they have left our church. But if our leadership has the training to recognize certain signs, it's not just a simple conversation of, hey, thank you for coming. It turns into, what needs your attention right now? And we don't know where that conversation will lead us. But what we do know is, if we continue to grow, if we continue to communicate with one another, and if we continue to open our hearts to learn, we will have somebody in that place that is equipped to help anybody that walks through those doors. And that
That's
is my hope
amazing.
for our Black churches.
That's so cool. So is this in the works? Are we going to be able to see or get our hands on this soon? Okay. Look at us getting the exclusive scoop. I love it.
The
I love it.
exclusive. So it is definitely in the works. And my goal is that by end of summer, there will be a handbook. There will be training set up for our Black churches to be able to come to and learn about how mental health and religion go hand in hand.
I love it. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for creating that, working on that. We definitely look forward to seeing that final product. It's going to be so helpful for our church and all of these churches. Honestly, it's going to be so helpful. So that's so cool. Look at that. I love it. Oh, I could shop right now. All right. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation today. We've definitely, I hope, opened up a lot of people's eyes. If you like what you heard today, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to share this video with someone else. Dr. Henderson, if they wanted to get in contact with you, follow you, go ahead and let us know how we can do that.
Yes. So for anybody who wants to get in contact with me, whether it's just for a conversation or you're looking to start your therapeutic journey, I share this number because everybody has it anyway. You can contact me at 901-230-1458. If you just don't want to call me, feel free to email me, and that email is going to be journeywithjerica@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at journeywithjerica or on Facebook at Jerica Henderson.
Well, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you, family, for deciding to tune in, and we can't wait to see you next time.
Thank you.